Welcome to your playful growth moment where nervous system regulation meets leadership clarity and sustainable health. I'm Olga, I'm your integrative health coach and leadership coach, guiding high achievers into self-led neuro-leadership, which simply means stress-resilient self-leadership. Great, so let's begin. In the supine position, we're going to lie down and we're going to bring our knees in. Extend your heels the mat distance apart and just bring your arms to feel your belly. You're going to take deep breaths in through your belly, through your lungs, opening up your chest. And on the exhale, you're going to soften it and release. And just few breaths, inhaling, opening your stomach, your rib cage. And exhaling and softening. Releasing all the roles from the holiday season, the father, the son, the protector, the provider, the cook, and just allowing yourself to settle in here, because these all roles are part of you, and right now they're very fragmented. And what you're going to do is you're going to release all of those roles so they are no longer tagging you into different priorities, into different focus. You're just going to settle into integrating all of the roles into one you. And taking these beautiful magic oxygen molecules allows you to bring them deep into your cells and allowing the blood to bring them to the places where it's needed the most. And now you're going to inhale to the count of 4 and exhale to the count of 6. Your own count, your own breath, as long as you're making those breaths a little bit longer on the exhale. The longer exhales, they start activating and tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system, allowing you to come into calmness, allowing the hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, to start slowly coming into balance as well. Just 20 minutes of yoga flow or any mindful movement taps into your parasympathetic system, allowing you to relax and soften so you can eventually become more focused. And allowing your hormones to come back into balance so you're not acting out of the hormonal imbalances, but you're actually acting out of focused and self-led leadership. Good. From here, let's bring the heels just hip distance apart and make sure your toes are facing forward to the front of your mat. And you're going to start inhaling and bringing your hips up, and then exhaling and bringing your hips down. Inhaling, hips go up, chest comes open, and then exhaling, coming back down. On the next inhale, let's bring the arms all the way up and behind, close to your ears. And then exhale and bring the arms next to your hips. And then inhaling, bringing your hips up, arms back behind you, next to your ears. And then exhaling and bringing your arms all the way down. Good, let's do one more like this. Inhale and hold it here. See if you can lift up your hips a little bit more by squeezing your glutes. Taking one big breath here, and then exhale and soften and release. Let's bring those knees into the chest, and we're going to rock slowly side to side, just massaging our spine, tapping into again that nervous system. Remember, this is a really good exercise for softening and bringing yourself into calmness. And now we're going to come back to the center and start slowly rocking forward and back at slow momentum first, and then slowly picking up this momentum, and then slowly getting up, and then you're going to cross your knees and go into the tabletop position. So wrists underneath your chest and your shoulders, and your knees are right underneath your hips. And we're just going to take a few cats and cows. So on the inhale, you're going to open your chest, look up to the ceiling, and on the exhale, you're going to curl your chin into your chest and round your back like a cat. And then inhale and open up, and then exhale and crawl in. Good. Inhale and open up, and then exhale and crawl in. On the next inhale, you're going to open up into the cow, and then you're going to start bending your knees behind you so that your heels are going to try to touch your thighs. And in the exhale, you're going to release it, start rounding your back, and you're going to lift up your knees just 2 centimeters above the ground. You're going to engage your hips, you're going to engage your abs, and you're going to push the floor away, and then slowly release. Inhale into the cow, bend the knees, bring the heels towards your hips, and then exhale and lift up your knees and into the cat. Round and hold here. Good. One more inhale into the cow, knees are bent, heels lift up, and then exhale and lift up your knees. And we're going to slowly start lifting up your hips towards the ceiling so that you start going into this really weird downward dog, and then you're going to slowly release. Don't go too far. And then inhale back into the cow with your knees bent. And we're going to go back again into the cat, and your knees are going to lift up. You're going to lift up your hips like you're going into downward dog, but not too far because you're going to crooked your fingers, so just be careful. And slowly come back down. Good. We're going to extend the arms forward. Your hips are going to stay on top of your knees, and you're going to drop your chest down into melting heart pose. Your forehead comes down on the floor. For those of you who want to go deeper already, you can bring your chin onto the floor, and we're just going to take a few deep breaths into this melting heart pose. Good. And allow those breaths to get deeper into your lungs, because now you're really bringing this oxygen into your shoulders to allow deeper shoulders mobility. You're opening your chest, because usually when you're sitting in front of the computer, you're rounding your back, your chest doesn't get enough of oxygen. So here you're opening it up. Last breath here. And then slowly come back into the tabletop position. We're going to tuck our toes and go into downward dog. This looks like a V position, inverted V position. You can have your knees bent. You can also pedal your feet as needed. And we're going to turn all of this into a nice little flow. So we're going to come back down into the tabletop position. We're going to inhale into the cow and bring the heels off the floor towards your hips. And then you're going to exhale and lift up the knees a little bit and hold it here in the modified cat position. On the next inhale into the cow, heels lift. On the exhale into downward dog with your toes on the floor. And then you're going to come back down, bring your arms forward, go into melting heart pose for one breath. Good. And then the next inhale, start softly coming back into the tabletop position, and on the exhale into downward dog. Taking one breath here. Good. And slowly coming back into the tabletop position. Inhaling into cow, lifting up your heels. Exhaling into modified cat position, knees off the floor. Inhaling into modified cow. Exhaling into downward dog with the toes on the floor. Exhaling and going into melting heart pose. Dropping your shoulders down, giving yourself one cycle of breath. Good. And then let's go into downward dog. Nice. And taking 2 cycles of breath here. Arriving to observe yourself. The more you arrive to observe yourself, the more you can observe all of your emotions, all of your reactions, all of the thought processes that are happening, the more you can start understanding how your nervous system is really wired so that you can step into self-led neuroleadership. Good. From here, we're going to step right leg forward to the front of the mat into low lunge. If you need a cushion, just bring a cushion underneath your left knee, and we're going to go into a nice lunge pose. You could be somewhere here, anywhere in between here, and really bringing your hips down. Let's start bringing your arms onto your knees, and on the next inhale, start reaching those arms towards the ceiling. Taking one deep breath here, and then on the exhale, we're going to twist towards the right side. You're going to take your right arm around, and the left arm is going to come onto your right knee. You're going to start pushing yourself and opening your chest so that you start twisting and looking back behind you. And this really allows for all of this stagnant energy that is usually there from sitting down in front of the computer to finally start opening and releasing out. Taking one last breath here. Good. And on the next inhale, coming back into low lunge. And then you're going to bring the arms down. You're going to step into the plank pose and hold it here. This is a very strong pose for your entire abdominal area. And if your abdominals are strong, then your back is strong, and of course, then everything else is nice and supported. From here, you can bring your knees down, and we're going to go into a nice little chaturanga or a push-up position, and then inhale into small cobra, and then exhale into downward dog. Your knees could stay on the floor, or you can just lift up. Taking 2 cycles of breath here. Good. On the next inhale, left leg steps forward into low lunge. Bring the right knee on the floor. Lengthen your spine forward and then start slowly bringing your arms to your knee. Again, just check out where you need to be in this lunge. You could be here or anywhere in between. We're trying to get into the hip flexors and inside of your thigh, so you stretch it out. On the next inhale, let's lift up the arms. Let's look up, open up your chest. And then on the exhale, let's twist towards the left side. Now left arm is going to go and wrap behind your back. Right arm is going to go on the outside of your left knee. And you're going to start slowly twisting back. Looking behind you. Balancing in this pose. Taking deep breaths. Good. On the next inhale, start coming back into low lunge. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, stepping into the plank by tucking your toes, stepping into the plank, slowly lowering down halfway and hold it here. Hold it here. Hold it here. Release. And into small cobra and into downward dog. Good. 3 cycles of breath here. Good. From here, we're gonna bring our legs forward, cross them, and sit down. And let's come into supine position, lying down, and grab the outer edges of your feet, or maybe grab your big toes. And we're gonna go into happy baby pose. So here, bring your knees close to your chest, bring your hips down towards the floor. Make sure the hips are touching the floor. Try not to sacrifice this pose. You might need to bend your knees a little bit more just to make sure that your hips are touching the floor. And in this very open, vulnerable position, what you're doing is you're allowing your hips to really open up, to really bring the oxygen into the places where usually, again, a lot of tension is being held because we're usually just walking one way, which is forward, and we're usually sitting down, and these places are very closed. So just breathe in into this vulnerability of a happy baby pose. But also, there's a reason why it's called happy baby, because the babies are always doing this, and this is how they start exploring first their arms, their feet. So go ahead and just turn this vulnerable pose into the happy you pose. Few more breaths like that. Good. Slowly bend your knees, bring your heels on the floor. We're gonna bring our arms into the cactus arm position, and then you're gonna shift your hips a little bit to the right, and drop your knees to the left. And you're gonna look to the opposite side of your knees. This is a nice soft twist. And you can start taking even deeper breaths and deeper exhales, so that your nervous system fully registers into the parasympathetic mode. Good. Last breath here. And let's slowly come back to the center and switch to the other side. So now your hips are going to turn a little bit more to the left. You're going to move your knees to the right, and you're going to look to the left side, the opposite side of your knees. And again, just soften. You can even close your eyes already here. Good, last breath here. And let's bring the knees back to the center. You're gonna hug your knees into the chest. You're gonna hug your nose into the knees. Squeeze yourself tightly for taking 20 minutes to bring your nervous system into calmness, to shift into integrative one you instead of multiple roles, and then release and to relaxation pose, the final relaxation pose, which is called Shavasana, where you're going to relax your legs, relax your arms on the side, and just allow your entire body to relax. For the nervous system, the rest is super important. You really need to schedule these rest moments into your daily activities so that your nervous system can rebound back into parasympathetic instead of sympathetic, because our life is filled with to-dos, with multiple roles being torn into different priorities. And the more you shift into parasympathetic system, the more you are self-leading your nervous system, the more you show up focused, decisive, and ready to tackle anything that your life might throw at you. And these moments of rest is what allows you to do that. Good. Start slowly moving your toes and your fingers. Moving your head side to side. Taking a nice stretch by bringing your arms up and above. And then you're going to bend your knees, shift them to the right or the left side, and slowly sit up.